What if wealth wasn't about luck, background, or even talent, but about understanding the laws that govern money itself? In The Law of Money, Secrets of Wealth and Success, Justice O. Malcolm unveils a truth that only the financially awakened ever discover: that money obeys principles, not emotions. Those who know these principles rise, no matter where they start. Those who ignore them struggle, no matter how hard they work. This audiobook isn't just another summary of a finance book. It's a guided reflection on the timeless lessons that shape prosperity, lessons that have transformed ordinary minds into empires of influence. Here, we'll explore the mental frameworks, invisible laws, and life-changing disciplines that turn ideas into income and vision into reality. So, as you listen, prepare to think deeper. Prepare to challenge what you've been taught about success. Because the truth is, wealth doesn't come to those who chase it. It comes to those who understand it. Welcome to The Law of Money, Secrets of Wealth and Success. Let's unlock the laws that the wealthy already live by. Before we dive in, we've noticed that most people who listen to our audiobooks never subscribe to the channel. So do me and yourself a favor. Like this video, share it with someone who's ready to grow, and subscribe to this channel so you never miss more empowering content designed to help you grow. Lesson 1: The Law of Inner Force. True wealth doesn't begin in your bank account. It begins within you. The first, and perhaps the most powerful principle Justice O. Malcolm teaches is the law of inner force. It's the idea that every human being possesses an invisible energy, a driving power that shapes everything they attract, create, and become. This law reminds us that money responds to energy, not desperation. Success follows certainty, not luck. The wealth you seek in the world will always be a reflection of the force that operates inside you. Your inner strength, belief system, and mental focus are the invisible architects of your external results. Think about it. Two people may be given the same opportunity, the same job, the same business idea, the same amount of money, yet one thrives while the other struggles. The difference isn't in the opportunity, but in the inner power each person carries. One acts with confidence, faith, and clarity. The other hesitates, doubts, and fears. The law of inner force shows that prosperity starts with mastering this invisible current. Justice Malcolm emphasizes that your thoughts are the engines of your destiny. What you hold in your mind long enough becomes magnetic, drawing into your life people, resources, and events that match that vibration. This is not about wishful thinking. It's about inner alignment. When your mind, emotions, and actions all flow in the same direction, you become unstoppable. This law also calls for self-mastery. You cannot control the market, other people, or the economy, but you can control yourself. You can control your mindset, your response, your effort, and your daily habits. When you discipline your thoughts to dwell on abundance instead of scarcity, opportunities instead of obstacles, and faith instead of fear, your inner force grows stronger. The author uses this law to remind us that many people chase money while ignoring the power that produces it. They work harder, but not wiser. They look for external changes while their inner world remains weak and divided. Yet, the truly wealthy are those who understand that money is simply energy in motion, and energy flows to those who are internally aligned, mentally focused, and emotionally stable. It made me realize that wealth is not something you chase. It's something you attract by who you become. The more you invest in your mindset, your discipline, and your spiritual energy, the stronger your inner force becomes, and the more effortlessly success flows toward you. So, the next time you feel stuck, don't just look outward, look inward. Ask yourself, what energy am I sending out into the world? What thoughts am I feeding daily? Because your inner world is the silent engine that drives everything visible in your life. The law of inner force teaches that before you can master money, you must first master yourself. Your focus, confidence, and consistency are your real capital. When you learn to guard your mind, direct your emotions, and act with purpose, you activate a force that no external challenge can defeat. Wealth is not built by luck. It's built by energy, purpose, and inner strength. And that strength, that unshakable belief in your power to create, is what Justice Malcolm calls your inner force. If this lesson on the law of inner force inspired you, take a moment to put it into action. Start mastering your mindset today. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment your biggest takeaway below. Your journey to wealth begins within. Lesson 2. The principle of dynamic reciprocity. Another most powerful law in the realm of wealth and success is the principle of dynamic reciprocity. The understanding that money and success are living energies, constantly circulating between people, opportunities, and ideas. The universe operates on exchange. Nothing valuable moves without something being given in return. This law teaches that prosperity is not achieved through hoarding or isolation, but through mutual contribution. Every act of giving creates a current that brings something back, sometimes directly, sometimes in ways we don't expect. The moment we stop giving, stop creating value, stop contributing, we interrupt that current. Think about a river. When it flows freely, it nourishes everything around it. But when it's blocked, it stagnates and dies. Money behaves the same way. The more it flows through purposeful giving, service, and fair exchange, the more abundance it attracts. Justice O. Malcolm reminds us that this law applies to all levels of life, not just financial transactions. It's seen in relationships, business, creativity, and even personal growth. You cannot demand from life what you haven't first offered to it. If you want trust, you must first give it. If you want respect, you must show it. If you want wealth, you must create value that enriches others. Dynamic reciprocity is not a simple give-to-get formula. It's about alignment, aligning your intentions, actions, and interactions with the universal rhythm of exchange. When your giving is sincere and your service meaningful, the energy of return is inevitable. For example, imagine a small business owner who always focuses on customer satisfaction rather than just profit. At first, it might seem slower to accumulate wealth, but over time, the loyalty, recommendations, and goodwill generated by genuine service multiply into far greater returns. That is reciprocity in action, dynamic, alive, and self-sustaining. The law also challenges us to evaluate our motives. Are we giving from fear or from abundance? Are we helping others only for what we hope to receive, or because we understand the flow of life works best when all parties benefit? When our giving comes from authenticity, the universe recognizes the vibration and responds in kind. In truth, every successful person practices this law, whether they realize it or not. They contribute ideas, energy, solutions, or inspiration into the world, and in time, it returns multiplied. The teacher who freely shares knowledge soon becomes the one everyone seeks out. The inventor who solves a human problem never lacks resources. The worker who goes beyond what's required becomes indispensable. Dynamic reciprocity is a reminder that wealth is not a possession, it's a relationship. It's about how we engage with people, with opportunities, and with the invisible network of value that connects us all. If we want to experience abundance, we must participate in its flow. So, reflect for a moment. Where in your life are you holding back the flow? Are you expecting rewards without offering your best? Are you waiting for opportunities instead of creating them? The principle urges us to stop waiting and start circulating. Ideas, help, kindness, excellence. As you internalize this law, you'll notice that money begins to respond differently. Doors open more easily, people cooperate more willingly, and your work begins to attract attention and reward naturally. You won't have to chase wealth. You'll become a source that draws it. In the end, the principle of dynamic reciprocity isn't just about finances. It's about living in harmony with the rhythm of giving and receiving. It's about recognizing that your prosperity is directly tied to how much good you circulate into the world. The more you give wisely and purposefully, the more you grow. Because in life, as in nature, the energy you send out is always the energy that returns. Lesson 3. The law of attraction. Wealth doesn't begin in the bank, it begins in the mind. Money, success, and opportunities are not random occurrences. They are reflections of what we consistently think, feel, and expect about ourselves and our possibilities. The law of attraction isn't just about wishful thinking or daydreaming about riches. It's about aligning your mental and emotional energy with the kind of reality you want to experience. When you think poor, speak poor, and expect little, the world mirrors that energy back to you. But when you start to visualize abundance, speak with confidence, and carry yourself as someone who deserves prosperity, doors that once seemed closed begin to open. Just so, Malcolm explains that the human mind operates like a magnet. It pulls toward itself the conditions that harmonize with its dominant state. If your mind is filled with worry, scarcity, and fear, you unconsciously attract more circumstances that reinforce those emotions. But when your thoughts are rooted in gratitude, expectancy, and purpose, you naturally attract better people, opportunities, and ideas into your life. I realized that wealth creation is not only about skill or hard work, it's equally about inner frequency. For example, two people can start the same business with the same resources. One is constantly afraid of failure, the other expects success and visualizes growth every morning. Over time, the second person begins to see possibilities and solutions the first cannot. Why? Because the law of attraction makes us alert to opportunities that resonate with our inner beliefs. To practice this law, I learned to first become aware of my thoughts about money. Every time I caught myself saying things like, "I can't afford that," or "money is hard to make," I replaced them with empowering affirmations like, "Money flows easily to me through honest work," or "I am open to new channels of prosperity." It felt strange at first, but over time, that mental shift began to influence my decisions. I started noticing opportunities one had previously ignored, and my confidence in handling money grew. Another key point I took from the book is that emotion is the fuel of attraction. Thinking alone is not enough. It's the feeling behind the thought that gives it power. When you imagine wealth but secretly feel undeserving or doubtful, your emotional vibration cancels out your desire. But when you think about your goals with joy, faith, and excitement, that emotional charge sends out a strong signal that draws in matching experiences. This principle also reminded me that gratitude is magnetic. When we constantly focus on what we lack, we repel abundance. But when we appreciate what we already have, no matter how little, we increase our mental capacity to receive more. Gratitude shifts us from a mindset of scarcity to one of sufficiency, and that shift attracts growth. What struck me most deeply is that the law of attraction doesn't work in isolation. It complements discipline, action, and persistence. Positive thinking without intelligent effort leads to frustration. But when optimism is coupled with consistent action and faith, success becomes inevitable. The author emphasized that attracting wealth is not manipulation of luck. It's synchronization with universal order. Just as gravity doesn't care who you are, this law responds to your dominant thoughts. If you keep focusing on abundance and act with intention, the universe rearranges circumstances to match your energy. In reflecting on this lesson, I realized that every great achievement in human history began with someone daring to visualize something better. They didn't wait to see before believing. They believed until they saw. That's the essence of the law of attraction. So today, I live by this truth. I am always attracting, whether consciously or unconsciously. My thoughts are like seeds, and the world is simply reflecting back the garden I've planted in my mind. If I want to change my results, I must first change my focus. The law of attraction taught me that wealth is not a chase, it's an alignment. When I align my thoughts, emotions, and actions with the vibration of abundance, success doesn't just find me, it flows naturally toward me. Now it's your turn. Start attracting the life you desire by shifting your thoughts today. If this message inspired you, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and drop a comment below about what abundance means to you. Lesson 4. Definite purpose, the foundation of wealth and direction. When I first read The Law of Money, one principle struck me deeply: the law of definite purpose. Just so, Malcolm made it clear that money doesn't flow to confusion, it flows to clarity. Success isn't an accident. It's the product of having a clear, definite aim that guides your thoughts, your actions, and your decisions. A definite purpose is like a compass in a stormy sea. Without it, we drift, tossed around by trends, opinions, and distractions. But when your purpose is defined, every wave, every challenge, and every opportunity becomes a tool for navigation. You stop reacting randomly and start acting intentionally. Many people say they want to be rich, but rich isn't a purpose, it's an outcome. The book reminded me that money responds to purpose, not to wishful thinking. When your goal is vague, your energy is scattered. But when you're specific, when you know why you want to build wealth and what you'll do with it, then your mind begins to align with your vision. The law of purpose begins to work for you. Think of great builders, inventors, and business icons. From the creators of empires to the founders of small, thriving enterprises. Each of them began with a definite purpose. They didn't just want success, they defined what success meant to them. A man who decides to create affordable housing for low-income families has a purpose far more magnetic than one who merely says, "I want to make money." The first attracts not only money but meaning. The second often burns out chasing shadows. Justice Malcolm emphasized that wealth follows direction. It's like water, it seeks a channel. A definite purpose creates that channel through which your talents, ideas, and opportunities flow. The clearer the path, the faster the current. That's why he urged readers to write down their purpose. Not just think it, but define it in writing. When you write, you command clarity. And when clarity comes, focus follows. But purpose alone isn't enough. It needs passion and persistence. A purpose you don't nurture becomes a forgotten dream. To live by a definite purpose means waking up daily and aligning your actions with your goals. If your purpose is to build a company, every decision, how you spend your time, whom you associate with, and what you learn must serve that goal. I realize that many of us fail not because we lack talent or resources, but because we lack direction. We try everything and master nothing. We chase multiple dreams and end up empty-handed. The law of definite purpose invites us to stop wandering and start focusing. Imagine a farmer with a handful of seeds. If he keeps throwing them in every direction, nothing grows strong. But if he chooses one fertile field and tends it daily, that single plot can yield abundance. That's how purpose works. It multiplies results by concentrating energy. This law also teaches that purpose gives meaning to wealth. Without it, money becomes a burden or a temptation. With it, money becomes a servant, a tool for progress. That's why many self-made millionaires often say, "Don't chase money, chase purpose." Because when your purpose is strong enough, money finds its way to serve that purpose. In my own reflection, I learned that a definite purpose is not just about career or business. It's about identity. Who are you trying to become? What legacy are you building? The law of definite purpose challenges us to think beyond temporary desires and connect with the bigger picture of our lives. To practice this, I began writing my own statement of purpose, a single paragraph that defines what I want to achieve, why it matters, and how I plan to pursue it. Reading it daily keeps me centered. It reminds me that every minute I spend on irrelevant things is a step away from my destiny. In truth, wealth doesn't start in your bank account. It starts in your vision. Money is simply the material reflection of your inner direction. Once your purpose is definite, your energy becomes magnetic, your focus sharpens, and the world begins to open doors that were once invisible. So, if there's one lesson that can transform how you view success, it's this: don't wander, decide. Don't wish, define. Because when your purpose is definite, your future becomes unstoppable. If this lesson inspired you, don't forget to subscribe for more powerful insights, like this video to support the message. Share it with someone who needs a financial awakening, and leave a comment below with what you're starting to invest in today. Your future self will thank you. Lesson 5: The Power of Will. Another most striking lesson I took from this book is that wealth begins in the invisible realm, the realm of will. Justice Malcolm describes will not as mere stubbornness or wishful thinking, but as an intelligent force of direction. It's the quiet, unshakable decision to move toward your goal even when everything around you whispers, "Stop." The power of will is the inner engine that separates dreamers from achievers. It's what transforms vague intentions into daily commitment. Many people desire success, but only a few possess the will strong enough to endure the long road toward it. Malcolm emphasizes that wealth and achievement do not respond to half-hearted attempts. The universe itself respects those who are firm in purpose. When your will is definite, your actions become magnetic. You begin to attract opportunities, helpers, and resources that align with your conviction. This idea reminded me of countless examples in real life. Think of Thomas Edison, who failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb, yet his willpower turned failure into refinement. Or the small business owner who keeps rebuilding after each setback until the venture finally thrives. Their secret wasn't luck, it was will, the determination to rise, adjust, and keep going until the outcome matched the vision. Malcolm teaches that willpower isn't a fixed trait, it's a muscle developed through practice. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, persistence over doubt, you strengthen that muscle. He warns that a scattered or weak will leads to scattered results. But when the will is unified, when your thoughts, emotions, and actions all align with one clear purpose, then money, success, and respect naturally follow. To cultivate this power, Malcolm encourages a reflective process. Know exactly what you want, why you want it, and what you're willing to endure to get it. The why fuels your persistence, and the endurance proves your readiness. The will is tested in moments of delay and disappointment. That's when many people give up. Yet the wise understand that such moments are part of the refining process, a test to prove whether your desire is strong enough to manifest. In my reflection, I realized that the power of will is less about forcing life and more about aligning with purpose. It's about commanding yourself before trying to command results. Wealth, as Malcolm presents it, begins when you become master of your own decisions. Once your will is firm, external circumstances lose their power to dictate your fate. So, whenever you face uncertainty or fear on your journey to success, remind yourself that the same force that created millionaires, inventors, and empire builders lies within you. The power of will is not something rare. It's the birthright of every person who decides to use it. When you move with that inner certainty, money, progress, and success eventually yield to your persistence. And that's what I learned. Wealth doesn't start with money. It starts with will. The strength to choose, act, and keep going despite the odds is the true currency of success. If this lesson inspired you, don't forget to subscribe for more powerful insights, like this video to support the message. Share it with someone who needs a financial awakening, and leave a comment below with what you're starting to invest in today. Your future self will thank you. Lesson 6. Confidence and belief in one's abilities. Here is another powerful lesson from the law of money, is that wealth doesn't start in your wallet, it starts in your mind. Justice O. Malcolm emphasizes that the foundation of every great fortune, invention, or success story begins with one thing: unshakable confidence in one's own ability. Confidence is the invisible currency that determines how much of the visible currency you'll ever earn. You can have knowledge, skills, or even opportunities, but if you lack belief in yourself, they become useless. Think about it. How many people have brilliant ideas but never act on them because they doubt their worth or fear failure? The difference between the dreamer who wishes and the achiever who wins is often nothing more than self-belief. Confidence is not arrogance. It is quiet certainty. It's the inner knowing that, despite challenges, you can figure things out. Malcolm reminds us that every successful person first took a leap, not because the path was clear, but because they trusted their capacity to create clarity along the way. The universe tends to reward those who move with conviction. When you believe in your ability, doors seem to open, people respond differently, and opportunities gravitate toward you. To build this kind of confidence, the book teaches that you must train your mind to focus on your strengths rather than your shortcomings. The world already has enough critics. Don't become one of them against yourself. Speak to yourself with faith, not fear. Replace "I can't" with "I'll find a way." Each time you take action, even in small steps, Your belief in yourself strengthens, just as muscles grow stronger with use. Imagine an entrepreneur who starts with nothing but a vision. Many will doubt them. The market might seem oversaturated, the funds too little, and the odds impossible. Yet those who win are not always the ones who start rich, but those who think rich. They invest belief before money, courage before capital, and persistence before profit. Malcolm uses examples of great innovators and leaders to show that none of them were born with guaranteed success. They were simply unwilling to let doubt dictate their destiny. They understood that when the mind accepts defeat, the body follows, but when the mind insists on victory, the world adjusts accordingly. Confidence attracts confidence. People follow those who believe in themselves because belief is contagious. Whether you're pitching an idea, leading a team, or trying to transform your personal finances, others can sense your level of conviction. When you walk with assurance, you silently communicate, "I know where I'm going." And when you speak from a place of confidence, the world listens differently. However, confidence must be supported by competence. Belief without preparation leads to disappointment. Malcolm stresses that belief should drive you to learn more, do more, and become more. It's not about pretending to know everything. It's about trusting that you can learn anything necessary to succeed. True wealth begins the moment you realize that your greatest asset is not your bank account, but your mindset. Your talents, ideas, and inner strength are your capital. As you nurture your belief, you'll find that challenges become opportunities to prove your strength. Each setback will no longer feel like a wall but a mirror, reflecting how much faith you truly have in yourself. So ask yourself, do I genuinely believe I can be wealthy? Do I trust that my gifts have value? Until you answer yes, all external effort will feel like a struggle. But once you do, the energy shifts. You begin to act differently, think differently, and attract differently. In essence, Malcolm teaches that money follows confidence, not the other way around. Believe that you are capable, and your actions will align with that belief. Doubt yourself, and even the best opportunities will slip away. Every wealthy person you admire once stood at the same starting point, uncertain, afraid, and imperfect, but they chose faith over fear. If you can do the same, nurture confidence in your abilities and walk boldly toward your purpose, you'll activate the law of money that transforms dreams into tangible wealth. Remember, the most valuable investment you can ever make is in your own belief. If this lesson inspired you, don't just listen, act on it. Start believing in your own power today, and watch how life responds. And if you found value in this, share, subscribe, and drop a comment about how you're building confidence in your journey to success. Lesson 7: Expectancy and Persistency. One of the most powerful forces behind every success story is the quiet combination of expectancy and persistency. Justice O. Malcolm teaches that money does not simply respond to hard work. It responds to expectation backed by unwavering persistence. Expectancy is the inner conviction that things will work in your favor. It's more than hope. It's a deep mental state that attracts what you continuously focus on. When you expect growth, opportunities, and wealth, you unconsciously begin to make decisions that align with that expectation. You speak differently. You move differently. You look for possibilities instead of problems. Think of a farmer who plants a seed. He doesn't sit by the soil, worrying if the plant will grow. He expects it to. That expectation keeps him watering, nurturing, and protecting it from harm. The seed doesn't sprout overnight, but the farmer persists because he knows that if he stays consistent, nature will fulfill its promise. That's exactly how the law of expectancy and persistency operates in the world of money. Those who fail often do so because they give up at the threshold of success. They lose their sense of expectancy when the harvest takes too long. But wealth is not built in days. It is the reward of consistent, persistent, intelligent action guided by faith in your own vision. Justice O. Malcolm emphasizes that persistence is not stubborn repetition, it's focused resilience. It's the willingness to adapt, to learn from each obstacle, and to keep moving forward no matter what storms arise. Expectancy without persistence is fantasy. Persistence without expectancy is drudgery. But when both come together, they create unstoppable momentum. The individual who expects success attracts the energy of opportunity, and the one who persists earns it. Many of the world's greatest wealth builders understood this. They expected success long before they saw it. They acted as if their vision was already real. When Thomas Edison was asked how he felt about failing thousands of times before inventing the light bulb, he said he didn't fail. He just found thousands of ways that didn't work. That's persistence powered by expectancy. You see, life mirrors your expectations. If you expect struggle, you prepare for it. If you expect abundance, you align with it. But neither can manifest without consistent, deliberate effort. Every time you choose to persist, every time you keep working even when the results aren't visible, you are declaring to the universe that you are ready for increase. Ask yourself, what do I truly expect from life? From my finances? From my work? Do my daily actions reflect those expectations? Because the truth is, you cannot persist in what you do not expect to succeed in. And you cannot expect to succeed in what you do not persist at. The law of expectancy and persistency reminds us that wealth begins as a mindset long before it becomes a reality. Keep your mind fixed on what you desire. Keep acting, learning, and adjusting. Let your expectation be your compass, and your persistence be your engine. In time, the world will bend to your faith and effort. For money, success, and opportunity are not reserved for the lucky. They belong to those who expect and persist until they achieve. Now it's your turn. Expect greatness, stay persistent, and watch your life transform. If this message inspired you, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and drop a comment about how you'll start applying the law of expectancy and persistency today. Lesson 8. Constructive mental attitude. Your attitude isn't just a mood. It's a force that either builds or destroys your success. Justice so. Malcolm emphasizes that the way we think and respond to life's events shapes the flow of money, opportunity, and success into our lives. A constructive mental attitude is like fertile soil. Whatever you plant in it grows. Whether that seed is doubt or determination, failure or faith, the mind nourishes it until it becomes reality. This lesson taught me that wealth is rarely born from luck. It's built on a mental habit of optimism, faith, and proactive thinking, even when the odds are against you. A constructive attitude doesn't deny problems. It confronts them with calm assurance and creative thinking. It says, "There's always a way out, and I'll find it." Think about how successful people react under pressure. They don't curse the storm. They learn how to sail through it. When others panic during economic downturns, they look for hidden opportunities. When one door closes, they look for a window, and if they can't find one, they build a door. That's what a constructive mental attitude looks like in practice. One of the most powerful takeaways from this principle is that your external results are reflections of your internal atmosphere. If your mind is filled with resentment, fear, and scarcity, you'll unconsciously sabotage opportunities. But when you choose gratitude, resourcefulness, and belief in abundance, you attract ideas, people, and circumstances that align with your growth. I also realized that a constructive mental attitude requires discipline. It's easy to stay positive when things go your way, but true mastery is maintaining that inner calm when everything seems to fall apart. Justice so. Malcolm challenges us to train our minds the same way athletes train their bodies, through consistency and self-control. Every time you replace a negative thought with a constructive one, you're strengthening your mental wealth muscles. For instance, instead of saying, "I can't afford this," a constructive mind asks, "How can I afford this?" That single shift transforms limitation into possibility. It activates creativity instead of despair. Over time, these little mental shifts build a mindset that naturally attracts solutions. This lesson made me reflect deeply on how I've handled challenges in my own life. There were moments when fear and frustration made me give up too soon. But now I understand that maintaining a constructive attitude is not about ignoring pain or pretending everything is fine. It's about choosing to see beyond the current situation. It's believing that something better can come out of every experience and acting accordingly. Justice O. Malcolm's perspective aligns with one universal truth. Success begins in the mind long before it manifests in reality. The wealthy and fulfilled are not those who never fall. They are those who fall, learn, and rise again with a stronger spirit. So, when you face obstacles, remember this: the most valuable asset you own is your mindset. Protect it. Feed it with empowering thoughts, uplifting people, and purposeful actions. Because a constructive mental attitude is not just positive thinking. It's the foundation upon which every fortune, invention, and legacy is built. Lesson 9. Law of Intelligent Action. Justice O. Malcolm doesn't just tell you to work hard. He challenges you to work smart, deliberately, and with insight. There's a profound difference between mere activity and intelligent action. Many people are constantly busy, chasing opportunities, hustling from one thing to another, yet they never seem to move closer to wealth or fulfillment. Why? Because their actions lack intelligence, direction, and alignment with purpose. Intelligent action begins in the mind. Before every successful venture or wealth creation story, there was first a thought, an organized plan that guided action. The author reminds us that wealth doesn't respond to random movement. It responds to strategic motion backed by understanding. To act intelligently means to think before you move, to analyze the situation, and to ensure that every step you take contributes meaningfully toward your ultimate vision. Take, for instance, two individuals who both decide to start a business. The first rushes into it, motivated purely by excitement, while the second takes time to study the market, understand the needs of people, and create a system that provides value. The first person might work tirelessly but struggles to grow, while the second person may work less but achieve more because every action is well-informed and purpose-driven. That is the power of intelligent action. Malcolm emphasizes that knowledge and wisdom alone don't create wealth. Applied knowledge does. It's not what you know, but what you do with what you know. The world rewards execution, not intention. Intelligent action demands that you move from the stage of learning and planning to the stage of doing, and doing with precision. It's the bridge between potential and manifestation. However, intelligent action doesn't mean overthinking or waiting for the perfect moment. Perfectionism is often a disguise for procrastination. Acting intelligently means understanding when to move, even if the conditions aren't ideal, because you've calculated the risks and prepared for them. It's about balancing foresight with courage, having the vision to see ahead and the boldness to take the first step. Justice O. Malcolm also highlights that intelligent action thrives on feedback. Every move you make provides new information. Intelligent individuals learn, adjust, and improve as they act. They don't repeat the same mistakes expecting different results. They evolve. Think of how an investor studies trends before making a decision, but also reviews outcomes afterward to sharpen future strategies. Every intelligent action compounds into experience, and experience compounds into wisdom. This law teaches that wealth creation is not a game of luck. It's a game of strategy. Intelligent action involves identifying your strengths, leveraging them effectively, and positioning yourself in spaces where your value can multiply. Whether in business, relationships, or personal growth, success belongs to those who act with awareness, not those who merely react to circumstances. One reflective point Malcolm makes is that intelligent action comes from a calm and focused mind. When you act out of fear, desperation, or envy, your decisions tend to be impulsive and scattered. But when you act from clarity and confidence, your actions align with universal principles of success. Intelligent action, therefore, is a reflection of inner order, when your thoughts, emotions, and intentions work together toward a common goal. To me, this law is a reminder that progress is not just about doing more, it's about doing better. It's about turning knowledge into movement, purpose into productivity, and energy into achievement. The people who rise above mediocrity are not always the most talented or the most educated. They are often the ones who take informed steps consistently, learning as they go and refining their path. In essence, the law of intelligent action calls us to stop moving blindly and start moving wisely. Don't just run, aim first, then move. Every decision you make should be guided by intention, clarity, and understanding. Because in the end, success is never a product of chance. It's the inevitable outcome of intelligent, persistent, and purposeful action. If this lesson inspired you, don't forget to subscribe for more powerful insights, like this video to support the message. Share it with someone who needs a financial awakening, and leave a comment below with what you're starting to invest in today. Your future self will thank you. Lesson 10. Opening the way for abundance. Another powerful insight I took away from this book is that abundance doesn't start with money. It starts with mindset. Justice O. Malcolm reminds us that abundance is not an accident. It's a condition that must first exist within us before it can appear around us. The doors to wealth and success don't open because we knock harder. They open because we grow wiser, more intentional, and more receptive. To open the way for abundance means to clear the inner pathways that block prosperity from flowing into our lives. Often those blockages are not financial. They are emotional and mental. Fear of failure, guilt about wanting more, limiting beliefs inherited from people who were simply trying to survive. When our inner conversation says, "I don't deserve wealth," or "money is evil," we unconsciously repel the very thing we're praying for. The first step toward abundance, then, is acceptance. Accepting that you were not born to struggle endlessly, that there is nothing noble about lack, and that prosperity can coexist with integrity, humility, and service. The wealthy are not lucky, they are aligned. They have opened the way for abundance by aligning their thinking, their habits, and their purpose with the principles of growth. Think about it like tending a garden. The soil must be prepared before the seed can sprout. If your mind is full of weeds, self-doubt, resentment, envy, then even the best opportunities cannot grow. But when you clear that mental clutter and replace it with gratitude, vision, and disciplined effort, the seed of abundance finds room to flourish. Justice O. Malcolm teaches that abundance flows in the direction of clarity and purpose. When you know why you want to be wealthy, the how begins to reveal itself. If your purpose is driven by greed, the flow is unstable. But if your purpose is driven by impact, by the desire to create, contribute, and uplift, then the universe seems to conspire in your favor. Opportunities start showing up in unexpected ways. The right people cross your path. Ideas begin to click. In the book, Malcolm emphasizes that abundance requires both faith and function. Faith is believing that abundance exists for you. Function is acting as though it already does. You cannot say you believe in prosperity while living and thinking in scarcity. You must operate with an abundant mindset. Give generously, think expansively, and approach challenges as stepping stones, not stumbling blocks. One powerful example he shared is how many self-made individuals began their journey by first giving value before expecting reward. They opened the way by serving others, by seeing needs and meeting them creatively. Abundance is not selfish. It is the overflow of value creation. Money follows usefulness. The moment you become truly valuable, wealth becomes inevitable. This principle challenges us to ask hard questions. What beliefs about money do I need to release? What habits are keeping me in scarcity? What would abundance look like if I allowed it to flow freely through me? When I reflected on these questions, I realized that abundance isn't about accumulating things. It's about expanding capacity. It's about living from a place of fullness rather than fear. It's about being open enough to receive and wise enough to give. The truth is, abundance is already around us. Nature shows us this daily. The trees never worry if there's enough sunlight, the ocean never fears it will run dry, and the birds never wonder where their next seed will come from. The only creature that doubts abundance is man. And that doubt is what blocks the flow. To open the way for abundance, you must learn to think like nature. Freely, confidently, and without resistance. Develop a gratitude habit. Celebrate others' success. See money as a tool, not a master. Replace envy with inspiration. Start where you are, with what you have, and watch as more begins to flow into your life. Justice O. Malcolm's message is simple but life-changing. Abundance is not something you chase, it's something you allow. When your mind, heart, and actions are aligned with the principles of growth, you don't have to force success. It starts to find you. So, as you walk this journey toward wealth and success, remember, you are not trying to create abundance. You are simply learning to open the way for it. If this lesson inspired you, don't forget to subscribe for more powerful insights, like this video to support the message. Share it with someone who needs a financial awakening, and leave a comment below with what you're starting to invest in today. Your future self will thank you. Lesson 11. The principle of value and merit. The truth is that money always follows value. Wealth isn't something we chase. It's something we attract by becoming valuable. The principle of value and merit reminds us that the world rewards us not for our intentions or our needs, but for the quality of what we contribute. Justice O. Malcolm emphasized that in every profession, every business, and every relationship, value is the invisible currency that determines our income, our influence, and even our peace of mind. The moment we begin to focus more on what we can give rather than what we can get, everything changes. Think about it. A farmer doesn't demand a harvest just because he worked hard. The harvest only comes if he planted good seeds in fertile soil and tended to them with care. The same is true for our financial lives. The seeds we plant are our skills, our ideas, our creativity, our discipline, and the consistent effort to make other people's lives better. I learned that every wealthy person, whether a business owner, an investor, or a creator, has built their fortune around solving problems or meeting needs. The secret is not in chasing money, but in understanding what people value, and then finding ways to serve that need with excellence. In practical terms, this means asking yourself daily, what value am I bringing to the table? If you're an employee, are you making yourself indispensable by improving your efficiency, learning new skills, or helping your team perform better? If you're a business owner, are you innovating, listening to your customers, and improving your service? Money flows naturally toward those who create genuine impact. Justice O. Malcolm also hinted at a truth many ignore: merit sustains value. You can create a spark of value once, but it takes merit to keep it burning. Merit means consistent integrity, reliability, and mastery. It's about building a reputation that money alone cannot buy. It's the reason why people trust certain brands, professionals, or leaders without hesitation. In a world full of noise and competition, merit becomes your silent advantage. When your name is mentioned, what comes to people's minds? Do they think trustworthy, excellent, dependable? That perception, built through years of discipline and honesty, is what keeps opportunities flowing even when others are struggling to find them. Another thing I realized is that value doesn't have to be grand to be rewarding. Sometimes it's the small things done with excellence that open the biggest doors. A kind gesture, a well-crafted message, or a product that truly makes life easier can ripple farther than we imagine. In one of the stories referenced in the book, the author described how certain individuals started small, but became wealthy because they focused on doing ordinary things in extraordinary ways. A mechanic who paid attention to details and treated every customer's car like his own eventually built a chain of auto service centers. A teacher who went beyond the curriculum to truly empower her students became an educational consultant sought after across nations. Their secret? They created value, and their merit sustained it. I've come to understand that when we shift our mindset from entitlement to contribution, from scarcity to service, wealth stops feeling like a mystery. It becomes a natural outcome. The universe, in a way, keeps score, not by how much we desire, but by how much we deserve through the value we give. So if you want to attract money, don't ask, how can I make more? Instead ask, how can I be more valuable? How can I refine my gifts, develop my character, and serve people better than anyone else? Because money is never the cause, it's the effect of merit in motion. The principle of value and merit teaches us that lasting wealth is built on worth, not want. When we build ourselves into people of excellence, When we commit to being useful, creative, and dependable, abundance begins to find its way to us effortlessly. And perhaps that's the greatest lesson of all. You don't get rich by wishing for more money. You get rich by becoming someone worth paying. If this lesson inspired you, don't forget to subscribe for more powerful insights, like this video to support the message. Share it with someone who needs a financial awakening, and leave a comment below with what you're starting to invest in today. Your future self will thank you. Lesson 12: The Art of Capital Investment. Another profound lesson I took from this book is that money is not meant to sit still. Wealth grows only when it is put to work, not when it is hoarded. Just so, Malcolm explains that the real art of capital investment lies not in how much you have, but in how intelligently you direct it. Every coin, every dollar, every resource is a seed. And like every seed, it either dies in storage or multiplies when planted in the right soil. I learned that investment is more than a financial strategy. It's a mindset. It is the discipline of transforming what you earn into something that earns for you. Malcolm makes it clear that money has a life of its own, and those who understand how to guide that life never stay poor for long. The difference between those who build wealth and those who lose it is often the difference between consumption and multiplication. The spender looks for what brings comfort now, but the investor looks for what brings growth later. The book taught me to see investment not as a gamble, but as a calculated expression of belief in the future, in one's own capacity, and in the power of value creation. Whether you invest in a business, in real estate, in education, or in people, every investment carries an invisible signature: faith in potential. But this faith must be guided by wisdom. As Malcolm emphasizes, blind optimism is not investment, it's wishful thinking. True investors study, observe, and act with informed confidence. A powerful example that stayed with me was the idea that even a small amount, when wisely reinvested, becomes a powerful instrument for freedom. Many people dream of big capital before they start, but the lesson here is that big capital often grows from the consistent reinvestment of small profits. Every act of saving with a purpose, every reinvested gain, is a declaration that you are building a future that works for you, not one that depends on your constant labor. The book also challenges a common mindset, that investment is only for the rich. Malcolm dismantles that myth by teaching that what matters most is not how much you have, but how much of what you have is being used productively. If your money isn't moving, it's dying. But if your money is serving, working, building, and multiplying, then even little can become much. This lesson made me reflect deeply on where my own money goes. Every expense, every decision, every opportunity now passes through a simple filter. Will this purchase serve me today, or will it serve my future? It's a powerful way to evaluate priorities. Because at the end of the day, true wealth is not measured by how much you earn, but by how well you make your money work for you. I also realized that the art of capital investment is not only about finance. It's also about time, energy, and knowledge. The same principle applies to life. If you keep your skills unused, your talents unsharpened, or your opportunities unexplored, you're leaving your greatest capital dormant. Every moment spent learning, networking, and building discipline is an investment in the greatest asset you own, yourself. What this chapter ultimately teaches is balance, the ability to be cautious yet bold, strategic yet visionary. The successful investor does not wait for the perfect time. They prepare, observe, and act when the soil is ready. Because wealth is not born from chance. It is born from choice, deliberate, intelligent, and consistent choices that allow your capital to multiply. So when I think of the art of capital investment now, I no longer see it as something reserved for financial experts or millionaires. I see it as a life principle. Learn to make everything you own, your money, your skills, your ideas, work for you, not against you. Let your capital, no matter how small, become your silent worker, building the life you dream of while you sleep. Lesson 13: The Strategy of Financial Autonomy. True wealth isn't found in how much money you make. It's found in how much control you have over your financial destiny. Just so, Malcolm calls this financial autonomy, the state where your survival, comfort, and dreams no longer depend on the permission or paycheck of another. To be financially autonomous means you have built systems that generate income even when you're asleep. It's when you've learned to master money, instead of being mastered by it. Many people spend their lives chasing security through jobs, salaries, or government promises. Yet security doesn't come from dependence. It comes from independence. Financial autonomy begins with a mindset shift. You stop thinking like a worker and start thinking like an owner. Instead of asking, "How can I earn more?" you start asking, "How can I make my money work for me?" This is the turning point of every wealthy individual. Think of someone who built a small food business. At first, they're the cook, the cleaner, the marketer, everything. But as they grow, they begin to train others, automate tasks, and invest profits into new ventures. Eventually, that business becomes a system, one that works even when they're not present. That's financial autonomy in motion. Just as so, Malcolm teaches that autonomy requires strategy, not luck. You must map out your path deliberately. The first step is self-assessment. Know your skills, passions, and resources. Then build a financial structure around them, one that allows your income to multiply. This could mean investing in real estate, stocks, digital products, or any asset that keeps giving value over time. But autonomy isn't achieved by chasing every shiny opportunity. It demands discipline, the ability to delay gratification, to say no to unnecessary spending, and to protect your capital. Every dollar you save today is a worker you send into the field tomorrow. The rich understand this. They don't just earn, they build systems of earnings. Another key aspect of financial autonomy is diversification. Never depend on one stream of income, because even rivers that once overflowed can dry up. Build multiple channels: passive income, investments, intellectual property, or business equity, so that no single event can drown your dreams. Malcolm reminds us that autonomy is not only financial, it's also mental. The person who thinks poor can never be free, even with money in their account. Freedom begins in the mind. When you stop seeing wealth as unreachable, when you stop waiting for a miracle and start becoming your own economy. The road to autonomy is not a straight one. There will be seasons of scarcity, failure, and fear. But every setback is a lesson in disguise, teaching you resilience, creativity, and adaptability. You'll learn that financial independence is built through decisions, not circumstances. Ask yourself, what am I building today that can sustain me tomorrow? If you stopped working right now, would your finances survive without you? These are not easy questions, but they lead to honest answers, the kind that spark transformation. Financial autonomy is not about greed, it's about freedom. Freedom to give, to grow, to live on your own terms. It's the quiet confidence of knowing you are the master of your own financial fate. So, start where you are. Invest in knowledge, build value, and take deliberate steps every day toward independence. As Justice O. Malcolm would remind us, wealth is not inherited, it is engineered. And the blueprint begins with the strategy of financial autonomy. If this lesson inspired you, don't forget to subscribe for more powerful insights, like this video to support the message. Share it with someone who needs a financial awakening, and leave a comment below with what you're starting to invest in today. Your future self will thank you. Lesson 14: Navigating Risk and Opportunity. Another powerful truth I learned from this book is that wealth doesn't grow in safety, it grows in courage. Justice O. Malcolm emphasizes that money follows movement, not fear. Those who achieve lasting success are not necessarily those who avoid risk, but those who understand it, measure it, and master it. In life and business, every decision carries two faces: risk and opportunity. One without the other cannot exist. Opportunity is the reward, risk is the price. The difference between those who prosper and those who stay stagnant lies in how they navigate this delicate balance. Malcolm teaches that fear of loss is often the biggest thief of potential. Many people see risk as a red light, a warning to stop. But the wealthy and successful see it as a yellow light, a signal to slow down, observe, calculate, and then move forward with clarity. They know that fortune doesn't smile on the reckless or the hesitant, it smiles on the prepared. To navigate risk, one must first develop financial intelligence. You must understand where your money goes, how it works, and what outcomes different choices can produce. Blind risk is gambling, but informed risk is strategy. The difference is knowledge. Think about every breakthrough invention, business empire, or movement that shaped history. Behind it was someone willing to take a calculated leap. Whether it was an entrepreneur investing his last savings into a vision, or a worker daring to start a small side hustle. Progress always begins when someone dares to move past fear. But the lesson doesn't stop there. Malcolm highlights that opportunity often disguises itself as difficulty. The moment of greatest uncertainty is usually the doorway to your next level of success. Many people run from it, thinking it's danger, when in reality, it's destiny testing your faith. For example, imagine two investors during an economic downturn. One panics, sells off assets, and hides cash under a pillow. The other sees undervalued stocks, invests wisely, and multiplies wealth when the market recovers. Both faced the same risk, but only one saw the hidden opportunity. This principle teaches us that risk is not the enemy. Ignorance is. The more you learn, the smaller risk becomes and the clearer opportunities appear. You don't need to eliminate uncertainty, you only need to understand it. That's how you gain control. Just so, Malcolm also reminds us that success requires emotional discipline. When fear screams louder than logic, wealth runs away. When greed overshadows wisdom, fortune slips through your fingers. The art of navigating risk lies in mastering your emotions. Staying calm when the market shakes, patient when plans delay, and focused when distractions tempt you. Every financial decision should be filtered through 3 questions. What is the potential gain? What is the potential loss? Can I afford both? If the answer aligns with your goals and knowledge, then act boldly. But if it relies on luck or impulse, step back and learn more before you leap. The wealthy understand timing. They don't rush every opportunity, but they also don't wait for perfect conditions, because perfect conditions never come. They learn, prepare, and act when their preparation meets possibility. In essence, the law of navigating risk and opportunity is a call to become the captain of your financial ship. The seas of life will always have storms, economic downturns, failures, unexpected losses, but a wise captain doesn't fear the waves. They read the wind, adjust the sails, and keep moving toward their destination. So, when faced with uncertainty, remember this. Fear may whisper, "What if I fail?" But faith asks, "What if I succeed?" Every great success story began with a risk someone dared to take. And every lost opportunity began with a chance someone was too afraid to seize. The lesson is clear: don't run from risk. Learn from it, lead it, and let it lead you to the opportunity hiding behind it. Lesson 15: The Principle of Reinvestment. Another powerful insight I took away from this book is that wealth doesn't grow by accumulation. It grows by circulation. Just so, Malcolm calls this the principle of reinvestment, and it completely reshaped the way I view money, growth, and success. Most people believe that saving is the ultimate key to wealth. We are taught to store our money away, guard it carefully, and spend only when necessary. But Malcolm challenges this mindset by reminding us that money is like a seed. If you bury it and never plant it, it dies in the soil of stagnation. But if you sow it wisely, into ventures, knowledge, and opportunities, it multiplies beyond measure. Reinvestment is not merely about putting money back into your business or assets. It's about putting life back into your resources. It's the process of continuously feeding what feeds you. Whether it's your business, your skill, or your personal growth, what you reinvest in expands. The rich understand this law intuitively. When they earn profit, they don't see it as money to spend. They see it as fuel to generate more impact, more freedom, and more value. Just so, Malcolm highlights that true prosperity flows through a cycle. You earn, you grow, you reinvest, and you elevate. Each cycle brings a higher level of mastery and abundance. The moment you break that cycle, when you consume instead of reinvest, you stop your own progress. Think about the farmer who harvests his crops. If he eats all his grain without saving some for the next planting season, his future is lost. The same applies to wealth. A portion of what you gain must always be set aside for reinvestment, whether into new ideas, self-development, property, or systems that increase productivity. That is how empires are built quietly over time. This principle also extends beyond money. You can reinvest your time, your energy, and your knowledge. When you learn something new, don't let it fade. Apply it, teach it, or refine it. When you succeed, don't just celebrate. Analyze what worked and reinvest that wisdom into your next project. Malcolm also warns that reinvestment requires discipline and patience. The temptation to spend immediately is strong, especially when profit starts rolling in. But reinvestment demands that you see the bigger picture. It's the difference between instant gratification and generational wealth. Every great investor, entrepreneur, and innovator understands that the seeds you sow today determine the harvest of tomorrow. In modern terms, this could mean putting part of your business profits into product development, upgrading your equipment, or expanding your team. For individuals, it could mean taking a portion of your income and investing it into courses, real estate, or even side projects that multiply your earning potential. The beauty of this law is that it always rewards consistency. Small, steady reinvestments compound into something extraordinary over time. And unlike luck or chance, reinvestment is something entirely within your control. You choose to grow what you've been given. Just so, Malcolm's principle of reinvestment taught me that wealth is not built in a single moment of gain. It's built in the decision to reinvest every time you win. Every profit, every breakthrough, every lesson must be recycled back into the cycle of growth. That's how your wealth becomes self-sustaining. So, if you want to move from financial survival to true abundance, start thinking like a planter, not just a harvester. Each time you receive, ask yourself, what portion of this can I plant again? Because those who keep reinvesting into their dreams, their knowledge, and their purpose never run out of resources. Reinvestment, as Malcolm teaches, is not just a financial strategy. It's a spiritual discipline of growth, a mindset that transforms your income into impact and your effort into legacy. If this lesson inspired you, don't forget to subscribe for more powerful insights, like this video to support the message, share it with someone who needs a financial awakening, and leave a comment below with what you're starting to invest in today. Your future self will thank you. Lesson 16. Innovation and Adaptation, the Lifeblood of Wealth. Another profound lesson I took from the law of money is that wealth is never stagnant. It's alive, constantly shifting, evolving, reshaping itself in response to time, technology, and human behavior. The author emphasized that innovation and adaptation are not just business concepts. They are laws of survival in the financial world. Innovation is about creating new value. Adaptation is about maintaining that value when the world changes. Together, they form a rhythm that keeps success alive. I learned that those who rise to wealth and stay there are not the ones who simply discover a winning formula. They are the ones who keep rewriting their formula. Think about the giants of our time, companies like Apple, Amazon, or even individuals who transformed industries. Their wealth didn't come from doing what everyone else was doing. It came from seeing what others couldn't see yet. They adapted to shifting markets and dared to innovate when others hesitated. Just so, Malcolm made me reflect deeply on how comfort kills creativity. Many people achieve a small degree of success and then stop growing. They guard what they have instead of expanding it. But the truth is, the moment you stop learning, improving, or adjusting to change, you begin to decline. Money, like water, flows toward the open, the dynamic, and the flexible. I also realized that adaptation isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's not about abandoning your dreams, but about adjusting your route when the wind changes direction. The wealthy are not stubborn, they are strategic. They listen to trends, anticipate change, and position themselves ahead of it. They don't complain about disruption, they create it. The author described innovation as a mindset that thrives on curiosity. The curious mind never says, "I already know enough." It constantly asks, "What if?" and "What next?" That's how empires are built. The people who ask better questions often build better futures. One example that struck me was how small startups sometimes overtake large corporations. It's not always because they have more resources. It's because they adapt faster. The speed at which you respond to change often determines the size of your opportunity. From this law, I learned that personal wealth also follows this pattern. The career that made you money 5 years ago might not sustain you 5 years from now. The investment that seemed safe yesterday could become obsolete tomorrow. The wise individual stays alert, learning new skills, updating their strategies, and staying open to evolution. Adaptation demands humility. The humility to admit when something no longer works and the courage to change it. Innovation demands courage, the courage to dream, to experiment, and to fail forward. Combined, these two create an unstoppable force that pushes you from comfort to creativity, from survival to success. Justice O. Malcolm's words remind us that money rewards movement. It doesn't flow toward those who resist change, but to those who ride with it. The truly wealthy are not those who own the most, but those who adapt the fastest. So, when I think of innovation and adaptation today, I see them as personal disciplines, daily habits. Whether in business, career, or personal growth, I ask myself, where am I resisting change? What can I improve or reinvent? How can I stay one step ahead? The world will keep changing, that's guaranteed. The question is, will we evolve with it, or will we let it leave us behind? In the end, innovation and adaptation are not just secrets of wealth. They are the soul of progress. They remind us that to stay relevant, to stay powerful, and to stay prosperous, we must never stop learning, growing, and reinventing ourselves. If this lesson on innovation and adaptation inspired you, don't just listen, act on it. Start reinventing yourself today, and let change work in your favor. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and drop a comment about how you plan to adapt and grow. Your journey might just inspire someone else. Lesson 17. The Strength of Strategic Alliances. Another powerful lesson I learned from this book is that no one becomes truly wealthy or successful in isolation. Every great success story, whether in business, leadership, or innovation, is a story of alliances, of people who came together to build something greater than themselves. Justice O. Malcolm emphasizes that money moves through relationships. Opportunities often come not from what we know alone, but from who we connect with and how we collaborate. A single connection can open doors that years of effort cannot. But it takes wisdom to recognize the right alliances, those built not on greed or convenience, but on shared values, mutual respect, and a unified vision. When I reflected on this, I realized that strategic alliances are not just about partnerships in business. They're about building bridges of trust. It's about understanding that every person brings a unique strength to the table. Some bring vision, others bring resources, and others bring execution. Alone, each may struggle. Together, they can create a force that moves mountains. In the modern world, we often glorify the self-made narrative, but Malcolm reminds us that even the so-called self-made individuals had allies, mentors, investors, advisors, friends, and teams who believed in them when no one else did. Success, therefore, is rarely an individual journey. It's a collective climb fueled by collaboration. Think of the great empires of wealth. They thrive because of networks and strategic cooperation. Apple flourished not only because of Steve Jobs' vision, but because of the partnership with Steve Wozniak. Warren Buffett's empire was built on trusted alliances with people who complemented his strengths. Even in small enterprises, the greatest breakthroughs often come when someone decides to stop working alone and start working together. But here's where the lesson deepens. Not every alliance is beneficial. Some partnerships drain more than they contribute. Justice Malcolm encourages discernment. Align only with those who match your integrity, your purpose, and your level of commitment. A weak alliance can destroy years of progress, while a strong one can multiply your growth overnight. The secret lies in choosing wisely. This principle also taught me something personal. The wealthiest people don't just have money, they have social capital. They invest in relationships, nurture them, and maintain them with care. They understand that influence, access, and collaboration often produce greater rewards than money itself. And this kind of wealth, the wealth of trust, cannot be bought. It must be earned through consistency, credibility, and service. Strategic alliances also demand humility. You must be willing to recognize your own limitations and allow others to complement your weaknesses. It's a sign of maturity, not weakness, to say, "I can't do it all, but together we can do more." That mindset transforms competition into cooperation and scarcity into abundance. In the end, the message of this lesson is clear. The ladder of success is easier to climb when someone else is holding it steady. So build wisely. Collaborate intentionally. And always remember that the world's wealthiest people are not just those with overflowing bank accounts, but those surrounded by strong, loyal, and like-minded allies. Because in the law of money, strategic alliances are the bridges to sustainable success. If this lesson inspired you, don't forget to subscribe for more powerful insights, like this video to support the message. Share it with someone who needs a financial awakening, and leave a comment below with what you're starting to invest in today. Your future self will thank you. Lesson 18. The discipline of self-mastery. In the journey to financial independence, one truth becomes clearer the deeper you go. Wealth begins not in the bank account, but in the mind. The law of money teaches that before you can master wealth, you must first master yourself. Self-mastery is not just about self-control. It's about consciously choosing growth over comfort, purpose over pleasure, and discipline over distraction. The greatest obstacle to success is not lack of opportunity, but lack of control over one's impulses. Think about it. How many dreams have been destroyed because someone couldn't delay gratification, stay consistent, or hold on to a vision long enough to see it bloom? Wealth doesn't come to those who chase every shiny opportunity. It comes to those who can tame their emotions, manage their habits, and make wise choices even when it's inconvenient. Just so, Malcolm's insights remind us that money responds to order. If your thoughts are scattered, your habits inconsistent, and your emotions unstable, money slips through your hands like sand. But when you exercise discipline in spending, saving, learning, and decision-making, you begin to attract wealth naturally because your inner world aligns with the principles that govern success. Self-mastery is also about understanding your triggers and tendencies. Some people overspend to fill emotional voids. Others procrastinate because of fear. Until you identify these patterns, you will keep repeating them. The moment you decide to hold yourself accountable, you shift from being a victim of circumstances to being the architect of your destiny. There's a saying that the poor spend money to look rich, while the wealthy invest money to stay free. This contrast captures the essence of self-discipline, choosing long-term gain over temporary pleasure. It's waking up early when you feel like sleeping in, studying when everyone else is scrolling, and saving when you could easily spend. The person who rules their habits rules their life. Consider the story of an athlete training for the Olympics. Every day, they push their body beyond its limits. The medals they win are not just for talent, but for consistency, the daily decision to keep going, to keep refining. The same principle applies to wealth. Every act of financial discipline is a training session for your future freedom. Each time you choose to invest instead of indulge, you strengthen your financial muscles. Self-mastery is not an overnight transformation. It's a lifelong practice. You will fail sometimes, you'll make poor choices or lose focus. But discipline isn't about perfection. It's about getting back on track faster each time you fall. It's about building an identity that no longer seeks motivation to do the right thing, because it has become your second nature. When you reach this level, money becomes a tool, not a master. You no longer chase it. You attract it through the power of your order and the clarity of your mind. The disciplined person doesn't just accumulate wealth, they build legacy. Because every coin, every decision, and every sacrifice becomes a brick in the structure of long-term success. So, reflect on this. Are you leading yourself, or are your habits leading you? Do you own your impulses, or do they own you? Each answer reveals where your financial future is headed. The law of money reminds us that self-mastery is not only the foundation of success, it is the shield that protects it. Without discipline, wealth is temporary. But with it, even modest beginnings can lead to lasting abundance. If this chapter inspired you to see your money differently, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this audiobook with someone who needs to hear it. And drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your engagement helps us grow a community of financially empowered minds. Lesson 19: The Pursuit of Knowledge. The last profound truth I learned from the law of money is that wealth begins in the mind long before it manifests in the bank account. Justice O. Malcolm emphasizes that money is not just a product of hard work. It is a reflection of understanding. Knowledge, he explains, is the foundation upon which every successful person builds their fortune. Without knowledge, even opportunity can become a curse, but with it, a person can turn setbacks into stepping stones. The pursuit of knowledge is not about collecting random information. It is the deliberate act of feeding your mind with wisdom that aligns with your goals. The author paints a vivid picture. Imagine a farmer who keeps sowing seeds without learning about the soil, weather, or timing. His labor will yield little because he lacks understanding. In the same way, many people work tirelessly yet remain stuck because they have not learned the laws governing wealth creation. Knowledge brings clarity. It sharpens decision-making. It teaches discernment, when to move, when to wait, and how to transform ideas into income. Malcolm stresses that ignorance is the most expensive liability anyone can own, because what you don't know can cost you every opportunity meant for your growth. This principle reminded me of how great innovators and entrepreneurs thrive, not because they are born lucky, but because they never stop learning. They study markets, trends, human behavior, and failures. They read, ask questions, and surround themselves with thinkers who challenge their limitations. Their wealth is a byproduct of continuous learning. Justice O. Malcolm invites readers to become lifelong students, not only of money but of life itself. He argues that every financial mistake holds a lesson, every success a hidden formula, and every mentor a door to deeper insight. The person who refuses to learn, he warns, becomes a prisoner of the past. But the one who embraces knowledge becomes a master of destiny. I found this lesson deeply reflective because it redefines success as a journey of growth. True wealth is not what you possess, it's what you know and how you use it. The moment you stop learning, your wealth begins to decay. The world keeps changing. New technologies, new opportunities, new markets arise daily. To stay relevant, you must evolve. The pursuit of knowledge also cultivates humility. It teaches you that no matter how much you think you know, there's always more to discover. This mindset keeps you teachable and open to correction, traits every wealthy mind must possess. In my own reflection, I realized that knowledge multiplies value. A single idea, when understood deeply, can produce streams of income. But it takes study, patience, and mental discipline. Reading, listening, observing, and applying are not just academic acts, they are wealth habits. Justice O. Malcolm's philosophy is clear. Money flows to the mind that knows what to do with it. When you invest in your growth through books, mentorships, experiences, and introspection, you build a mental empire that no economic crisis can destroy. So, if you want to unlock financial freedom, chase knowledge with the same intensity that others chase wealth. Because the truth is, knowledge is wealth. It shapes vision, fuels creativity, and empowers action. The more you learn, the more you earn, not just in money, but in wisdom, influence, and fulfillment. And there you have it, the timeless principles that define the law of money. Justice O. Malcolm reminds us that wealth is not inherited through bloodlines, but through mindsets. The rich and successful do not stumble into fortune by chance. They walk toward it with knowledge, discipline, purpose, and a deep respect for the laws that govern prosperity. Every lesson you've heard in this audiobook is more than a theory. It's a call to action. The law of attraction, the power of will, the discipline of self-mastery, the pursuit of knowledge, these are not just ideas to remember, but rules to live by. Because the truth is, the world does not reward effort alone. It rewards understanding. The more you grow your mind, the more you expand your financial reality. Money flows to clarity, to confidence, to people who know what they're doing and why. So, as you step forward from here, make a promise to yourself. Never stop learning, never stop evolving, and never stop applying these laws. You don't have to chase money. Master its laws, and money will find its way to you. Thank you for listening to The Law of Money, Secrets of Wealth and Success. If this audiobook inspired you, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and leave a comment to help others discover these life-changing principles too. Until next time, remember, wealth is not what you have, it's what you know and what you do with it.